Check. 1, 2. Is there audio now? Yep, okay. Let me fix that. For some reason... Paste filters. We go to properties. Mono. There we go. That's weird. I don't know why it's not using the other mic setup. So I guess I will remove that. Check. Yep, okay. Well, that's annoying. Okay, so I've done 20 minutes or so without any audio. Cool. I will quickly go over, for the YouTube archive at least, since I know nobody was actually watching, so it doesn't matter. But for the YouTube eventual upload, I'm glad it sounds better. Yeah, I'm using Isotope Nectar 3 on the vocals, so along with OBS's sound suppression, so it should be a little bit better than just whatever basic stuff that Twitch Studio used. However, I have no idea why OBS led me to believe in the audio mixer. It showed my microphone being outputted, but it lied. I'll look into that on my own time. At least it's working now. Okay, well, what I did was replicated. We did not have, originally, we didn't have our cube replicating over the network like that. Our tokens didn't replicate. So in order to fix that, and if you'll notice, it doesn't drop down because the closing of the gate is where the final set. So we'll fix that now that we have audio. But what I did in order to get that to replicate over is originally this set actor location was happening in the player controller on our event tick right here. However, now we're taking our token reference and our location that we're interpolating to, throwing it into a server call, a move token to tile on the player controller, because the player controller, there's one that's on the local client side and the server has one, so it can make calls. So that's where things have to pass through. This is called on the server, and it sends the location and the reference to the token to the game mode, which is on the server, to handle the movement of set actor location. So we need to actually do that again to fix that final thing right here. This also needs to be move token to tile. Whoops. That and that. That and that. So one final server call for this, for the final placement. We are changing things on this kind of stuff. I'm betting I bet this never never gets changed on the server, actually, so we should consider things like that. So I'm going to actually put that in there as well. This will do it every single time, however, which we don't want to do. So we could put in a Boolean. Why don't we do that? Let's put in a Boolean for dropping. And if this is true, then we do that. So we'll come over here, refresh this. We didn't do it here yet. This needs a Boolean. We're just passing that straight through. And then over here, okay, so we're not dropping here, but we are dropping here. So we can get rid of that. We'll need to make a pickup function on the server in order to handle the handle this. This matters because if we're not currently two people with two keyboards and two mice playing networked, we're just kind of testing. So what is happening if we don't do this server side is somebody could see somebody moving a token and click on it, and it will still have collision enabled, so they'll be able to grab it. So two people will then have references to the tokens. And then they're going to be trying to move it, and we just don't want that to happen. You could make a little fight over it, but I have a feeling things will get kind of screwed up if the server, which is one thing, is trying to constantly set the actor location of the same actor to different places. So we want to avoid that. So we'll also this. That needs to be server side. So let's test what we did so far. Cube, and it drops. Oh, look at that. And that is because probably because of this. Yep. It is because we're changing it we're now changing this server side, but this did not replicate back to the client. So the static mesh component, let's see if we turn that to replicate, if it comes back. Oh, I forgot something. 1 second. Okay. So drop a cube. There we go. Oh. Okay, so the client is not getting it. Failed to cast to token. Because the collision is not client side. So I believe this needs to perhaps be multicast. So if we drop the cube, server side, it still works. Client side, it doesn't. Oh, access none, trying to read. Right. Okay, so let's not do that multicast. Let's put that back to server. The issue is this. So we need to do this client side and server side, I think. So let's think on that. Do we want to just call it again? How about we make a separate function that handles the physics of the token? Let's do that. So we're going to make a custom event again called set token physics and collision. This will be the physics on, and we want an E collision enabled enum coming in. E collision type coming in. So we don't need that anymore. Get rid of that. That. Oh, we need our token. That up on top. PG token. This will be called off this. Token. And the collision type comes in. So physics on. Set physics enabled. Set collision in it? No. What were we doing? Simulate physics. So we need the static mesh again. Simulate physics. Okay, so we want this same thing over here in the network graph. Refresh. Get rid of that. Over here. Refresh. We're good. All right, in the network, we need a new custom event called, what do we call it? Set token physics and collision. Server. We want our token. We want our B physics on. And we want our enum, collision enum. Collision type. And this, again, is going to be called on set collision, set token physics and collision. All right, so here we do it locally, and then we need to do it on the server. It's out. We're turning off physics, so it's off, and we want no collision. And our selected token, which is of type BG token, and this is on BP token. I did that wrong. It's to be BG token. This needs to be, and it is BG. Okay. Just got it mixed up. One can go to the other, but not the other way around. And we will do this again here. Before we clear our references. And we need to do it local as well. So let's do local first to query. Put this back here to query, and we're still not turning on physics right now. Oh, right. Okay. So we're doing it locally, and then we're doing it on the server, locally, then on the server. Nothing over there. Save all, and let's test. There we go. As far as I know, those things are happening as we would like them to happen. So we now have our replicated movement is local and server side. So that initial placement I don't like. Let's fix that. Ooh, access none, trying to read get game mode reference. Why is that? Why are we getting a none? Because this hasn't been set to server. Let's make sure it's still working, because apparently that was only client side. Working on server, working on the client with what the server dropped, and we're still good. Okay, and no errors, no warnings. So we are moving along. I'm going to commit that again. Token physics and collision service function added. Whoops. Commit and push. So we need, what do we need to do now? What is on the menu? The initial placement. Let's fix that. Yeah. So when we are spawning a token on a tile, we're getting a location, which we get from here. We're just line tracing. And we aren't really looking for something specific. So we're line tracing out we could spawn it out there, and see that? So it didn't get anything, so it put it to 0, 0. It got something, so it put it there. So there is no... So let's clamp a height Or rather, if we get nothing, let's have it spawn out here and then just fall. And we could put a little death thing down there so that when it hits a certain point, it vaporizes. And then here, if we do hit something, we'll go a little above it and drop it. So, need that right here. The out hit. Hit actor, is it equal to hit actor get class equal to a tile. Kind of like what we're doing with when we move the tokens. So did we hit a tile? Should we even check for a blocking hit? What are we doing over here? No, we're just checking for a blocking hit over here. I don't know why we don't. It's doing the same thing but differently. It's doing a cast. So here we're checking, is it a tile? If it is, get its location and add 100 to it before going in. And then when we spawn it, and I want to get the static mesh. Set physics. That's not what I want. What are we doing with set simulate physics? That's it. So will that drop it out of the sky? Save on compile always. All right. So it shouldn't even do it now over there for now. Yeah, because we're not hitting anything. But if we do it here, all right, we spawn it a little above, but it's not falling. Do we still have? We are overriding our gravity. Let me get rid of that. I had that enabled when we were messing around with character. Boom. That's cool. And then we move it around. It's not. Yeah. See, we can't like bash into it and move it. So that's cool. We still have the issue of that. See, my mouse is still over a tile. So we're able to put them on top of each other. So I don't want that. Oh, hello, Asbali. I'm doing well. You, if you're still in here? You're from Spain? I'm not from Spain. So, since you're, since tú es nuevo, what I'm working on here is a tabletop battle map, as the stream title says, for like Dungeons and Dragons or Pathfinder, so that you can just click and drag tokens in, and it's fully networked. So as you can see, there's the client, and the client also can move around objects. But as far as I can tell, with my D&D groups, we haven't found a simple tabletop battle map that has a very low learning curve. Fantasy Grounds is really cool, but it's super complex. Roll20 has some lag issues we weren't fond of, so I just want a supplement, kind of like Tabletop Simulator, but without the table flip and all the physics type things. It just needs to be easy to get up and go and make something. You're fine. I speak very little Spanish, mainly from my high school days, more than a decade ago, so a lot of it has gone out of my mind. What do you do in Unreal Engine? Ah, that's kind of what I did. I started with blueprints for like 6 months, and then I started working with the C++. Need any of that? So I make the base classes in C++, and then I make blueprints off of those and add on in here. So this right now is blueprints. I might be able to move this over. Some stuff's not necessary. You don't have to do everything in just raw C++. If you're doing extensive math, it can be faster. But just doing these kinds of things, there will be very little performance difference from what I have learned. Okay, so let's make it where if we drop it out there. No, I don't want to make it drop to oblivion. So right now it doesn't spawn if we drag these out anywhere out here, but if we drag it here, it spawns. So, what should we do now? Perhaps we allow the dungeon master, the server, the guy who makes the server, the individual, able to disable control from the players. So let's see. This is receives tile location vector token reference. Use it. Called by player controller. Player controller. Enables physics and collision for a token server side called by player controller. Alright, let's see. So we can make the lobby now if we wanted to. I'm curious. So the board dynamically creates a table, 2D grid execution macro. Let's see. And it is, if we go higher, the performance drops, but I'm wondering if that's because of the expensive material that's on the tile. So if we got rid of that and just did a like a basic tutorial material, let's see. It still doesn't feel very good. Yeah, it drops down in performance. So why is that? Yeah, we lose significant frame rate. So what about things like, where's our post-process? Let's get rid of, where's the motion blur? 0 motion blur. Yeah, it's still bad. If we get rid of our texture entirely, so the dynamic grid creation perhaps is not what we want to do. So if we shrink that back down to a 10 by 10. Oof, that rotation feels pretty bad, and I think that's because we're updating it on the server. It's not very smooth at all. Can fix that at some point. So why do we have such a significant loss in performance when we spawn these tiles? Is it because of our lighting? Skylight's static. Our light source is stationary. What if we go to movable? That's dynamic. What if we get rid of the atmospheric fog? We don't really need that in here. It already feels a little bit better. Try 15 by 15. That's not bad. 25 by 25. Can we go bigger? There we go. So I think it was the lighting, because it wasn't built. And then we got rid of the fog. The skylight. We could probably tweak this and get more performance by it, because we don't need really fancy we don't need it to be fancy. So let's get that back to our oak material and see what happens. Yeah, there we go. That's usable. Okay, so let's fix that. We don't want to be able to put tokens on top of other tokens. Actually, in fact, what we would want is if we had, let's say this was, this was a wall, and we have our hero here and our bad guy, and we want to be able to actually get on top of the wall so that we can have some elevation going on. So when we are doing this, when we're picking up a token, and we're checking here, is it a tile? And if so, move token to tile. We would actually prefer if we could put, if we check, is it another token? So right here, let's get rid of that. We'll do another branch here. Is the class, so this is if it's equal to a tile. Is it equal to, is it a token? And you know what? I want it to be the parent. So if it's a token, we want to move it on top of the other token. Does the static mesh know its extent, its bounds? Get bounding box, I believe, is what we want. Returns the bounding box in local space of the static mesh asset. So I think that is what we want. So we're going to use that. If it is a token, we're going to get the hit actors, get static we're going to cast to the BG token. We're going to get its static mesh. Get local bounds. And I think get local bounds. Get actor bounds. That's all the components that make up this actor. That's the local bounds of just the static mesh. So maybe we want to do that instead. And we only want to do the colliding components. And this is half the actor size, and this is the center of the actor. And this is half the actor size. I don't know why it's set to half, but that's how it is. So we're going to set our target to this times 2. Maybe. No, because that's gonna pop out the X and the Y. We just need the Z. So we just want we want to split this. Split. The X and the Y are the same. But that, I think we want to multiply by 2. So we're setting our target tile to the token that we want to go on top of. And then we want to do this same thing again. So let's see what happens here now. We put out a cube, move it there. We put out our cone. Let's put a print string, find out. BG token cast successful. Okay, so that's the issue there. We're not yet. This isn't firing off. So world dynamic. We're only looking for world dynamic. What are our tokens set to? We are world dynamic. Okay. So if that's failing. Not a BG token. Okay, so why is it not? So why don't we try BP token? And we'll cast to BP token. Not a BP token. Why don't we just print what we're finding? BP cube, BP cone. But these are BP tokens. Do we even need to do that? Can we just get the actor? Yeah. We don't need to know what it is, right? We just know something's there. And we're going to go up on top of it. Except, yeah, okay, so its bounds is getting interesting. I believe that's the origin 0, 0, 0, maybe. Yeah, okay. So box extent, because it's not so maybe not colliding. Let's get rid of that. Yeah, it's still going back to 0, 0, 0. So I don't think this is working. It's probably spitting out a 0, 0, 0. Thirty-seven point five, 37.5. Where's it getting that 37.5? Oh. Is this going to be local? That's not the position. That is the extent. Aha. Okay. Okay. So we need to take the origin of the actor in world space and add. So we don't need this or this. What we need is the origin to the x. And we need the y to the x. And then we need to take our box extent. So we need the origin plus the z-axis extent time, and it's half, right? So origin in space is going to be the smack dab center of the actor. That's why the box extent is halved, because we're adding, and now we should be at the top. There you go. So that's how you stack. So now we can build ourselves a wall in our tabletop game. And we have our hero, and he moves over here, and then he can move here in order to attack enemies from the wall. Which, I think, let's make sure this is working network code. Server side, client spawns. Whoop. There we go. Something's up there. I think... Okay, so that's not working that side, and it works on server side. Why is that? we do that, we're able to do that. We're able to do that. That mouse, something feels funky. It doesn't feel very reliable, the mouse click. Let's check the world outline. So for our client, these do exist. Its location, so the cone's location, let's see if it's the same on the server. It is. The rotation's slightly different. So maybe that's throwing it off a little. Maybe we need to location. Failed to cast. Failing. So the side here, for some reason, is it because of the size of the screen? Something feels unreliable. What's going on? What is the box look like? Should we give them a larger collider? What's the static? Okay, we're using this cube static mesh. What's its collision? It should be, it has collision, so what's... It's very odd. I don't know why. Oh, we have our scale set to 0.75, 0.75, 0.75 in here. Okay, let's do in the viewport. And I want to see collision. So cube. I want to see collision. How do I... Can I see collision in the game mode? Yeah, the collision seems normal. Maybe the static mesh's collision just kind of sucks. Or the raycast is unreliable. This is for the drag and drop. And this is for clicking. So it's on the visibility channel. So is it somehow not visible? How do can I see visibility? Occlusion queries? No? I wish you could do that in the game mode when I'm possessing the player. I bet you can. V4 console command visibility collision. Here we go. Okay. Backtick. View mode. No? Yeah, view mode collision viz. There it is. So it's working. Here's client. This is where we're having the issue. So view mode collision viz. Didn't work. Why isn't it working? View mode collision viz. No? Let's see if the client enable console for client UE4. Run console command on client side. Don't see an answer for that. So I'm not sure. Go back to lit. But our client is still having issues. So that makes me wonder if this is having issues. So let's see. So client drops it down. Yeah. It's doing it. But if it's too low, Look at that. I think, let me try with server now. The server is more accurate. So what's happening is we are line tracing by cursor under. So why is it's shooting from our cursor incorrectly? Or the client is, at least. Let's see. Erratic behavior. Let's see if I think some other people are having this. I think rather than doing this, we're going to do a line trace by channel. So line trace by channel on visibility. And we're going to do from get our controlled pawn, which is a BP pawn. I don't want to cast every single time, so let's make another interface, BPI pawn, get pawn reference. It's going to be of type BP pawn. Our pawn is going to inherit from that interface, and this spits out a reference to the self. So we're here, get controlled pawn, get pawn reference, message from that interface. So now we have it. I want to get the camera view, right? No. Get world location of the camera. We're going to take that world location and we're going to see that is the start of our line trace. We're going to do some math here to shoot a ray outwards from our camera into the game world. And then, so we're starting at the camera, and the direction we need to shoot outwards is take that location. We're going to add a vector to it, which is going to be the camera's rotation forward vector from that rotation. We're going to multiply out by that 2000 again. We're adding that now, this vector to that vector, to the starting, and that's our end. So this should shoot a ray out from the direction that our camera is looking straight into the world, 2000 centimeters, which are, I think Unreal units are centimeters. We're on the visibility channel still. So coming out from that. Let's do for one frame we're going to spit out a debug. Our out hit, break the hit result. And now we'll put our hit actor and our blocking it here. We'll save that. So this is going to be from our camera. But we're not necessarily always looking at our token. So this isn't totally what we want. Yeah, see? See the little dot right there in the center of the screen? So it is successfully shooting out a ray. However, we don't want to be shooting out from our camera. We want to be shooting out from our mouse. So I don't know why this is so bad. It's almost as if it's not scaling correctly to the viewport size, which isn't good for a puzzle game. I'm gonna refill on coffee. Uno momento. So we want to work with our, let's see. We want to get let's do objects instead of visibility. So we know this works. We're going to break our hit result again here. We're going to get our blocking hit out, our hit actor, but of this. So this shoots a line trace out of the camera. That's for the, by channel. This is going to be for objects. So this, I want to check if it's valid first, and if it is valid, then we'll do that. So the objects, we're going to make an array. We're looking for world dynamic objects. Tracing complex. Failed to cast a Vici token. So this is where it's failing. When we click, it's hitting here. Let's print instead what we hit. We're hitting a tile. So our cursor is not detecting the object here, but see that? Server side is more accurate. Client side's having an issue. It is detecting it a little above. Wait a second. Okay. You see how the top corner? Okay, so if I'm putting it on this tile, see how the top corner from this perspective is just below that circle? I think what is happening is when it drops, for some reason, client side still thinks the cube is raised. Why is that happening? Get rid of that because we know that's firing just fine. So is it? This is where we drop the token. And tokens replicate. Movement is not replicate. What is going? I thought I. This is done on begin play. So it would have set it anyway. Yeah, that doesn't fix it. It's gonna trigger that any replicate movement. So So we know this is the issue. maybe it's just so strange. I'm gonna do a restart and just see what happens with a restart. No, we're still hitting a tile. It's that final drop that client side is not happy about. We're getting a none. Right, we need this to be, we need a valid check before we do anything. That should fix that error. So we're doing that server side. Maybe we need to do it client side and then server side, because it's also kind of because this is, it's replicating back to the client, and there's just kind of it's a little buggy. It snaps. It's not smooth, so we want that to look smooth. So let's move it client and then make the server side also. So just like we do with the physics and collision, actually, because we have to do that local and then on server. So we're going to make a move token to tile client side. So we're going to do a new graph called local graph. We're going to do custom event move token to tile, and switch authority. Actually, you know what? Let's get rid of this local graph, network graph. Move token to tile. If we have authority. Okay, so this is gonna check if we are the server. Right? Hold on, let me review real quick. RPCs. No, what I want is okay, I think I know what to, okay, so this is called on the server, and then in the game mode where we're calling these things, this may be multicast. No, it's still doing that. So let's get rid of that. That didn't change anything. Pretty sure that's just gonna extra layer of security to make sure that that's only running on the server. So if we, so that cube, if we go to client and look at the cube, 315.50. Go to the server and look at the cube, 315.50. What about our pawn rotate, our pawn? Oh, okay, so this is the server. So let's see if that's the same rotation. It looks like it. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so the server moves it. Let's see. It still sees it. It's still hit detecting above the cube. I don't know if we need that. I might put it back. So, why is that happening? And it's happening right here. I don't really know. Let's just do that. That fixes it. I don't know why. So let's do if, let's see, local. Yeah, is local controller. If we're a local controller, then we need to do that. And then we need to move that. If we're not, we just do the server. Similarly over here, when we move the token and it's replicating back, we need to do the same thing. And that should smooth our movement out. So if we're local, if we're not, we just go straight to move to server. If we are, we need to set actor location locally first. And then do it server as well. So you can already see it's a lot smoother. Oh, interesting. Because we didn't do, okay. So we need to, yeah. Okay, back to what we were going to do. We're going to do a custom event called move token to tile client. This runs, no, just move to tile, move token to tile. Now, this is where we're going to check this. Hold on. No, this is where we're going to do authority. If we have authority, we're just going to move token. We're going to do that. If we're remote, and this is going to need our that. I think. we'll get the collision next. Okay, that's working. Our server picked it up and, yep, okay. So if our server, this now needs to be, so we need to do the same thing. So that's that. This should, I think, let's try that. What happens if we run it as client side? Still working. Okay. So that's our client call. Do we have... If we don't even do that, what happens? We're still able to move it, but it's not happening on the server. Right, okay. So yes, if we have authority, just move it on the server. If we're remote, that, and then move it on the server. So, move token client side, if remote, and call server. Right. If server, just move server side. Spawning is just server side since it replicates. Spawn a token server side. Now we need to do the same thing here again with a custom event. Set token physics and collision client as authority. We'll call our set token server side. We need our token, we need our physics on, and we need our collision type. However, if we're just remote, we just need to do that. And then there. Set physics and collision on client side if remote, then called server side if server, just call server side. And our graph, set token, we just call this one and it'll handle it. Query here. Same thing here, set token and collision client. Review. Review, we are turning off it and it's no collision here. So that. Opening. I think that's it. So if we test now. Didn't work. Because that and that. Much better. look at that. And it's also tracking properly. So we got that fixed. And if we go here and we move it around server side and we go back to client side, it's not working. So why is that? Did we forget what we're doing here? Drop this in here. Good. We look at the cube when we're on the server side. Okay. And if we look at client side, and then if we move it server side, yeah, it's changing all right. We go back to client side and look at that cube. It's got physics enabled. We can move it. Well, that's weird. Oh. No, everything's working. Okay. I think sometimes something pops up and it doesn't. Okay. So we've got these things working properly now, where it does the local one first and then goes to the server if we're local so that it moves a little bit better. So I like that. Let's go ahead and commit this. Token movement and physics improved with client side calls first, if remote, then server side. And we'll push. Okay. And we should still have the ability to stack. Yep. We can just keep stacking. Ooh. Ah, I see. Right. So what we need to do our stacking works, but it's just going to stack on the one that you're hovering over. So what we need to do when it's released and let go is maybe do a collision check if overlapping, maybe. Enable physics and enable collision so it just falls. Yeah, let's do that. I'm going to take a quick break and I'll be back. And then, let's see. Oh. Yeah, I think I figured it out. So I'll be right back in like 5 minutes or so. And let me just do it like a I don't have a I don't have a screen set up yet for a be right back with OBS. So we'll do that, and I'll be back in like 10 minutes. Okay, let us continue. What do we want to do now? We want to fix this issue. We want to be able to stack, but we don't want to be able to stack inside something else like that. Right? So let's think about that. We've got, well, how are we stacking? Right here. If it isn't a tile, well, hold on. Why are we even doing two separate things? We just need to get we just need to do that. We don't even need to check if it's a tile in the location. We just need to do this, and we're adding the extent to the top. We add a little bit above it. Right? Yeah. See? Still works. Only difference is that our extent is just where we're placing it, so we can fix that. This cone. Well, that fixes the cone issue, you know? Because now it properly stacks. So what's going on here is that we are center. It's just the top of this is off, but we'll fix that later. But basically, we don't need to be checking if it's a tile. Though, so what we want to do, if we want to prevent stacking, maybe we can check for collision. Yeah, let's do a collision check. I'm going to move this out of the way for now. This up. Or we are doing that. So we need that. Snap token to hovered object. Because right now we don't have anything but tiles and tokens in there. If we were to have other stuff, we would want to do a class check so that we're not moving our tokens to weird locations, but for now this works. So let's figure out how to do a collision check so that if we were to drag it upon on something else, we know that that there is an object there already. So this is where we do the server side move token to tile. We might want to sweep. Yeah, let's sweep. So what happens if we sweep? Is it a blocking hit? If not, just do the move token to tile. If so, do a custom event. Handle collision, we'll just call it for now. Handle collision. I'm going to call, what do we call this? Set token physics. I'm going to do that, turn the physics on. Collision enabled query and physics. This isn't going to be fully what I want yet, but whether we sweep to the destination, triggering overlaps along the way and stopping short of the target if blocked by something. Ah. Okay, so when we put our token down, we need to do collision enabled, I think, so that and physics only maybe when moving. So that's still working. That's not. So if we go to the cone, we're on physics only. Cube, collision enabled, physics only, collision enabled, physics only. So if we stop, go back to our network graph where we were doing this. And come in for remote sweep. We're even calling this. See if we ever get there. Oh, we don't even. There. So client side, cube. No, we're never going down that path. So this hit is not occurring. So that's not what we want to do. What we need to do is perhaps on the token itself. So we have a static mesh. How do we stop? We don't want them to overlap, right? We don't want to be able to do that. What are we doing here? So on our token, our static mesh, block all dynamic. And when we move it, physics only, but we're turning physics off. What if we do that? Keep our physics on, turn our physics on when we drop it. That's funny. Okay, so we're on our, we got something here. We need to, okay. So, we just need to refine that, but that's kind of what we need right there. So, perhaps ignore radial. Yeah, let's see what happens if we do that. And we turn on, and we turn up our linear, I don't know, our linear dampening to 2 and our angular dampening to 2. There you go. All right, so the sphere now isn't going to just like go flying around and it stops. So that cleans that up. So that's better. That's pretty funny. Let's fix our rotations. So when we drop it, set actor location, set actor relative rotation, or let's do this. And it's going to go back to 0, 0. And we need to do that here as well. Excuse me. So that should, when we pick it up, yeah. So that resets it. So there we go. We're starting to get our ability to, we can't, we can't, we can stack things, which is pretty cool. So we're going to be able to put our little guys on there. However, this pop thing, I think we need to be able to lock in place our tokens so that we can construct our battle map securely. So let's do that. Let's get our tokens to lock in place. I think we should have a right-click context menu. And what are we going to set? So right now, let's put these into the C++. So we want to ignore radial impulse and radial force, and we want to up our damping. So in our token, with our static mesh, ignore radial impulse equals true. Static mesh, ignore radial impulse equals true. And then we want to set those damping values, both the two linear and angular. Linear, static mesh, linear, set linear damping to 2.f. Static mesh, set angular damping 2.f. Compile. Boom. All right, so those are our defaults now. I believe, yeah, we have tick turned off on that guy. I don't think, yeah, our tick is off on that. We can get rid of that. We don't need it. Just cleaning up a little bit here. Build failed. Right. Oh, we did need that. There we go. We don't need that though, because that's our movement. Yes. Okay. What are we doing? So that's set. We're happy there. Right click context menu. And what we want to do with our context menu, if we were to right click on a token that's on the map, we're going to pull up like a drop down like that, like this. And on that drop down, we want to lock position. Yeah. Okay. So we want to lock position from a radial menu or a drop down menu. Hey, there's another viewer in here. If you've just joined, we're making a networked battle map for Dungeons and Dragons or tabletop games with a click and drag and drop. The ability to stack so that if you have your character, you can vertically climb the environment. And currently, we want to create a radial menu that where we right-click on an object, a token that we put in the world, and lock it in place so that we don't just knock things over. So if we construct our wall, we want to be able to get on the wall without totally screwing up our wall. This is fun, and that's funny, and we'll allow that, but we want dungeon masters to be able to quickly set up a game without having to worry about physics screwing everything up while playing a combat moment. So we're gonna do some widgets. So we have our master HUD for the game master to be able to drag and drop and things out here. Our game master is the only one that's going to be able to lock things in place and do this kind of thing. So we'll implement it here. We need a new WP context menu. So with the context menu, go desired on screen, get rid of the canvas panel. We'll do a size box. Width and height. So width, I don't know, 150 by 200. We'll do a background blur of 2. And a border. This border, drop down to black at 0.75, 0.5. We want to do a vertical box, a 10. Put some buttons inside the vertical box. This button is going to be something like that. Actually, we'll bind the color of this based on whether we're locking or unlocking. Put text inside, and this text also will change dynamically if we're locking or unlocking. So lock. And that font we can drop down to like 18, I don't know. 14. There we go. And give it an outline. Maybe we don't need the size box. Replace with child, yeah. Because we're just going to dynamically generate. So we'll call this the lock, unlock button. This is the lock, unlock text. That text centered, yep. The button is going to be set to auto and stretch. Border. Our vertical box, let's bring that down to 7. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So when we right click, we want to create one of those. So in the player controller, in play, if local, make a HUD for now, until we figure out the separation of game master and player. Excuse me. Let's do this over here. So on right click, when we right click, we want to get, again, we want to shoot out a, we want to do this. And we're going to, so if we got a, if we hit something and it's valid, cast it to a token. And if we succeed at making a token, we want to create a widget. Did we promote this? I want to promote this to a variable. This is our game master HUD reference. Put that under references. And then we'll add it to the viewport. So we're going to make a context menu. We own it. And this context menu needs a reference to the token. So this is the token reference, which will be of type bg token. And it's instance editable and expose on spawn. So when we make this, refresh, we send in the token. This needs to be add to, we need to set the location of this to the mouse. So set rendered transform. And the in transform is going to be get cursor mouse location, mouse position, convert mouse location to world space. No, get the mouse position on viewport. on platform. That's absolute. Yeah, this is deprecated, right? Yeah, get mouse position on viewport is the current one. So we're going to get the mouse view, and this is let's see. Create widget at mouse position. Oh, right. Okay, so we need to add this to the canvas panel of our master HUD. So this is our we'll just call this canvas panel, and it's a variable. So here we need to get our game master HUD, get the canvas. I don't like that name. Excuse me. Game master HUD canvas. There we go. Add a child to the canvas, which is going to be this. And we need to set the anchor. Set the anchor to, wow, okay, hold on. I don't like that. Let's see. Yep, we just need to set position. Set the position. That seems a lot easier. So, there you go. This is just tiny. So this button will wrap with a size box, and this size box will go to 150. How about 250 by, yeah, we'll go with 100, and then we'll bump this text back up. Let's see how that looks. Drop a cube, right click. Cool. Let's just work on, there's 250 out into something's, it's just not scaling properly. So when we're creating it, what's it doing? wrap with a scale box, maybe? Scale to fit, scale to fill, no, scale to fit. I'm not very good with the scale box yet. Okay. Cool, so we're making a bunch of them. Okay. Ooh, there's something called a menu anchor for pop-up menus. Maybe we want to do that. Okay, this widget allows you to specify a location that a pop-up menu should be anchored to and should be summoned from. Let's get rid of this scale box, replace with the child. Menu anchor. On the canvas panel, the menu anchor. There we go. Okay, so we'll start it there. It's going to size to the content. This is going to be our context menu anchor. Can we add things to this? Menu class is going to be a context menu. Below and to the right. We're going to set the menu class maybe when it's made. So on get menu content, is what we need to bind. So it's, yeah, okay, so we need to create binding there. To okay. So we want to make this, set this to our context menu. Over here, let's get rid of that. Remove that binding. The context menu. So when we on mouse button down, mouse event is it a right button? If it was a right mouse button, we want to open. And we'll say handled. I've never used the menu anchor, so let's see what it does. Okay, there. Yep. Or hold on. It's doing this again. So let's make sure real fast. Okay, this is part of the hood, so it's working when we click over here. However, because we don't want to call this in here because we're not clicking on our hood. So here, when right click, we get the context menu anchor open. If we're right clicking on a token. So we don't need to do that. We just need to, we're not going to open yet because we want to get our mouse position on viewport. We want to get rid of that. We want to set placement. Get slot. Set slot at, slot is canvas slot, and then set the position of that. We then need to we need to get set the reference in that. So get the menu class, right? Because we need to set the reference in it. So the context menu on get menu content, we need to on context menu get content, we need to set If we've got that, how do we set references within it? Create. Create a widget. Context menu. Maybe that. And then over here, I don't think we can put an input on that. We need to get, so this is going to be a token reference, which is going to be a BG token reference. And it's going to be, so this needs to be a, so it is valid. Deprecated property on get menu. On user menu content event. Well, that's nice. Why do you even have that button anymore? Valid token reference. We create the context menu, put it in there, and return. Okay, so I think we can remove that token class there, the menu class. So what are we doing? We are setting the token reference. And then we're opening it. The token reference comes from here. And let's do on clicked print just to prove we have it. Nothing happens if we right click right now. Cool. That's working. Perfect. So it is valid. If it's valid, we want to take the token reference, get its static mesh. We then want to lock set constraint. No, we need to lock position, right? Can we? Six DOF. I want to freeze it. let's make a function on it. It looks like maybe we can't here. So on our token, we're going to make a new function. Lock static mesh. Let's try it here. So this is going to be called, this is blueprint callable. BG token functions. And this is void. We'll call this lock position. And send in a, we're going to send in a Boolean of lock. And this lock position we'll get the static mesh. How do I access that? I know it exists. It's right here. Maybe 6DOF is what we want. So let's not do that for now. Let's test that 6DOF and see what it does. So we drop a cube and we lock it. Didn't work. Let's try it server side. Lock. No? Well, it did work. So if we do that, it's locked. So this is, we do need to be able to access that. UE4 constraints lock position in code. How to set, there we go. Body instance. Okay, so let's go to our code again. So in the token, let's get that back. Let's get that back. We're going to get body instance. So how about static mesh get body instance be lock X translation equals true, Y and Z. So we need Y, and we want Z. So this is a public, we can call this, and it should set those. So on the token, we can now call Did we already do this? Just directly get the static mesh. Where'd it go? Oh, it is because we need to close and reload because we hot reloaded and Unreal Engine gets mad at that. Get back to where we were. Here, we get our token reference. We lock. This needs to be a BG token type. And we lock position. And let's do a flip-flop. Here we've got our that, we lock it, didn't work. However, server side, not working still, lock position. Because this is most likely not replicated over to the server, and we're calling the server to move this maybe? Yep, okay. Interesting, interesting. Okay. So we need this we need to run this on the server. So it needs to be called here. So we need a new custom event here, lock token in position. This is going to need the reference to the token. We are sending it in here, right? So that's a BG token. Refresh BG token. Okay, yep. So here we take a token in and we need to call lock position. And here on the context menu, we're not calling that. We are going to call, we're going to get owning player, get player controller reference, and the player controller needs to make a server call on the network. So we need a custom event called lock token in position here. And this is like this. This is our client side. And this runs on the client. Has authority. This needs the token reference again. If we're remote, we need to lock position. And then if we're authority, we need to run the server side lock token in position server. And we're gonna set this up so that it can be unlocked also. Right now this is just locking. which is going to need a BG token reference. Getting the game mode. Lock token in position. And we pass in the token to lock. Then we run lock token server side. This runs on the server and is reliable. Reliable. Let's make that reliable. Okay. Let's try it on the server first. We spawn a cube, we right click, we lock. It's not. However, it's not calling it. So, what's happening? Is equal to be lock. Let's save all. Make sure. Sometimes that needs to be restarted when we do things like that. So let's see. So we context menu, click the button. Oh, this is why. Get our player controller, lock token in position client. And we send the token. And we go to the client. We get to the client, token comes in. Do we have authority? If not, lock it remotely. Then go to the server, make a server call, and lock on the server. So if we start, we drop a cube, right click, lock. No. And it is set. So what's going on here? Look at the client. It's not locked. Look on the server. It's locked. Why is that? What is happening? I think what we also have to do after we've done that, we need to do this, and we need to set our DOF lock. Set DOF lock EDOF mode to 6 DOF. So if we do that, and then come back in here, There we go. Now we've locked it. So that, but I think on client side, yeah. So it's trying, but the server. So it works mostly. Thanks, Kevin. I appreciate it. Check it out, man, if you're still there. I've locked a cube. All right. So this isn't happening. So this is happening server side. Maybe this needs to run multicast. Let's see what happens. Execute on all. Drop a cube, lock it. It's locked. Is it because that something needs to be replicated, maybe? No, we're already replicating the static mesh component. So let me just see. We drop the cube out here and we lock it. Let's go to client, check the cube. It didn't happen. It's not seeing that. So let's put this back to client. Maybe this needs to run multicast. So again, we put cube out, lock it. It's locked on the server. Yep. Go to client. It's not. Why is it not? Physics settings are not. DC are not replicating. So v4 body instance constraints not replicating. Physics. It's not. Let's see. Okay, so if we put... What happens if we call it on the client? Drop a cube, we can move it around. We lock it. That's interesting. So on the client side now, our cube has a locked position, 6 DOF. Server side, it doesn't. So why is that not replicating? Access none. Trying to read get game mode reference. Let's get rid of that entirely. What happens now? Lock. We can still move it there. It's doing that funky thing. On the client, the cube's got those locked, but the server does not. So if we stop, it's still doing none trying to access the game mode. So the client, for some reason, maybe the authority is what's wrong. Is local controller. If so, we want to do that. If it's not, you do that. Okay. Oh, because that's multicast. Run on server. Give me my reliable or my authority back again. Authority, just go there. Promote, do this, do this. Reliable, reliable. So that should at least get rid of the game reference issue. Lock, it's locked here. Oh, did we fix it? Server locked. Client locked. Hey, cool. I don't know. I thought I had those set. Well, that's cool. Okay, so we've got our ability now. Whoop. Oh yeah, we're only locking position. Ooh. Where'd it go? Okay, so we also need to lock rotation, and then we'll be able to fully have, so this is, let's rename this. So it's lock position. Let's rename it to lock token in place. And then the Boolean coming in, should we call it toggle? Nah. So the Boolean coming in does that. We need to get static mesh component, get body instance the lock. Will this lock it in all? might be able to just lock translation also, if we just want it in all directions. So let's save all and do a quick reload. Up. Let's fix what's going on. Fresh. Oh yeah, because we renamed it. So this is going to be lock token in place. And we want the Boolean to go through. If we're unlocking and locking, let's start setting up the toggle. So the game mode base is fixed. Our player controller, lock token in place. We also want a Boolean remote. We want to go here. This needs to have a Boolean. Whoop. Boolean. Okay. So then we go to the server. So that Boolean comes from, excuse me, it comes from the context menu, which is going to be a flip-flop. So player controller token, and that's going to unlock it, I think. We still need to set up our lock. Whoop. It's doing it again. Yep. Okay, so this, so lock translation. So we do need to lock X, lock Y, lock Z, lock X, lock Y, lock Z. There we go. All right, so those are locked now. Can we unlock it? Okay, so let's work on toggling now. So our context menu shows just lock/unlock, and we want these things to be bound. So our token reference, when we're making this, right? Yeah, we're creating a context menu widget on context menu get user menu. We are sending in, so each time we right click, we're giving our HUD a reference. We're checking, is it valid? If so, we do this. When we click the button, we check again, is our, token reference. So when we make it on construct, we want to get the token, which should be valid, but we're going to check anyway. We're going to get constraint. We need to make a new function so that we can find out is it locked or not. So view function blueprint callable category is also bg token functions, and it is going to return bool is token locked, and it is just a const. It's just returning something, and it is going to get it's going to return EDOF mode no. How do I want to do this? I want to do this clean. We're gonna auto, what does this return? Auto body is equal to that if body block lock x translation and y and z return true. False. Because this I mean, technically if one is true then the rest, but we're gonna check all three. And rotation's gonna be the same with the others, so we've got that. We may need to, yep, hot reloaded. So let's save everything and close and restart again. This needs to be our BG token type. It should be fixed. Okay, so we get our token. We need to get is token locked. If it's locked, we want the button set the color and opacity, not the button content, set the background color. Let's go with a green. Otherwise, we'll go with that orangish red, orange. And we also need to set the text. Set text to unlock. Set text to lock. And now we can actually we can flip it too. So we want to do, we just need to do one this time, and it's going to be token locked. We need to change this to get, not is. So it's going to do the opposite. And it should flip-flop now. Drop a token. Lock. Unlock. Cool. Let's also, when we click it, get rid of the context menu. How do we kill ourselves? How do we get rid of this context menu? No. I believe we can do the why can't we get, let's see, UE4 context menu hide on button. Let me set visibility. Let's try that. There we go. So I want it to go away if we click out elsewhere. So where were we doing that? Let's comment this. Locks a token. Toggle lock token in position. Toggle lock token in position. Toggle lock token in position. Locks, unlocks token on board, followed by player controller. Toggles lock. No, just lock, unlock token in position on board, followed by context menu from game master hood. And when we right click, this is where we're opening it. So I believe we can only have one, right? Happens if we... Yeah. Oh. Failed to find the function. Oh, because we renamed it. And let's rename this while we're at it. Get token locked state. Get is token locked. Which we'll have to fix in there. Let's refactor this too while we're at it. Toggle lock token place. Okay. Open this back up. I think we'll need to restart anyway because let's close it. Reopen. Let's fix what we broke. So game mode, this is called toggle lock token in place now. Compile is fine. And here in our network graph, this is called toggle lock token in place in position. In place. In place. In place. Everything matches now. Game Master HUD. Good. Not good. Get is token locked. Get is token locked. Good. Save all. It's locked. It's unlocked. It's locked. It's unlocked. All right, we're good there. But we want to get it so if we click outside of it, it goes away. So when open state of the menu changes, this is right click. Opens context menu if right clicking on a token. Here's our left click. So we need to handle the let's put this under, let's make a function or an event, custom event. Toggle context menu. Somebody once said, if you need to return something, make a function. Otherwise, do an event. We don't need to return anything here. We're just checking text menu anchor is open. So this is going to be if it's not open. Right click, toggle context menu. Because we might have multiple context menus, so we'll handle it inside this if we do. We're going to check what are we over. It's not. If it is open, close it. What does that do already? Okay. That's cleaner. Right click and right click to open and close. But we still need to handle outside, which will work, I think, right now. So we open it. Yep. Okay. But left click doesn't. So let's put that on the left click. So we're going to do that right here. If pressed. If our context menu is open, we're going to close it before continuing. There you go. Okay. Whew. Let's put some comments over these. Toggles whether or not the token position and rotation is locked. Returns the locked state of So these functions should now, yep, they have comments when you hover over them, which is nice. Player controller. And if we go here, or yeah, here. Yeah, cool. Returns the lock state of the token. So I think that is some excellent work for today in 4 hours. So we've got, uh-oh. Yep, hold on. It's because I did a hot reload. Let's get that back open. We're not ending until this works again. Let's go over what we did today. Make sure everything is hunky-dory. It is not, because we did a hot reload. This resets, which is nasty. Unreal, could you please fix that? Epic, because that's crappy. I should be able to recompile this without it ruining my, my reference here. And breaking everything. Are we good here? Good here. Good here. All okay. To recap. First of all, our performance is better by killing our atmospheric fog. And setting our lighting to mobile instead of stationary. We have networked movement, so the server, the client, flies around and rotates happily. We did that yesterday, and we've got collision set up where these, and they reset rotation when we pick them up, and they stack. They have a bit of angular damping, so they don't infinitely fly around. But if you don't want it to be this chaotic mess, we now have the ability to lock things in place so we don't mess that up. A nice little menu that changes based on what you need. Look at that, it's locked. And it's back. Lock, can't mess with it. It's trying. Oh, it's trying. So I think that's some pretty damn good work, and it is... Oh. Okay, so it's not perfect. What's going on here? We'll probably fix this next time. So it looks like that lock position didn't get copied over for some reason. For some reason that didn't copy completely over to the server and replicate. So we'll look at that next time. Locked. So it works here. So it's locked on the server, and on the client it's locked. Unlock. So on the client it's still locked, on the server it's unlocked. So we'll figure that out next time. We need to do fix replication of locking, unlocking between server and client. So we'll work on that next time. We may need to do an update or something so it gets pushed out. But that's the work we've done so far. Our tabletop game is coming along, or our map, that is. We won't have rules. This is just so that friends can quickly make combat thing so that they can fight and click and drag. And we'll have tokens. Eventually these will be replaced by chess pieces. Look, kind of things that'll help with a better idea of what you're fighting. We could probably introduce some better models down the road, but I think ambiguous chess pieces will be nice. And then we'll make some cool walls and doors so we can flesh it out. And then eventually we'll work on like some stylized environments so that you can make little dungeons with better lighting, smog, atmospheric effects. So we'll submit this to source control. Locking, unlocking of tokens with context menu on right click added. You still need to fix replication. Okay. Well, that's it for today. Thank you all for joining me, and I think I'll do a little bit tomorrow. Maybe a short little video, or I'll work on the replication. I'll just focus on fixing the replication tomorrow. Maybe early morning or late afternoon. We'll see. Anyway, till next time.